Hello, hello to our I Loved Rescue Dogs fans and followers. Amanda Reed back with you again. I'm the founder of Sama Dog, Wellbeing for Dogs and Their Humans, and I am coming to you with a new show every week on Tuesday evenings about rescue dogs. It's really all about healing lessons of our rescue dogs and our humans, and really talking about that beautiful connection and the relationships that we share and all the learning and growth of the heart and of the soul, really, in addition to more worldly physical things that our dogs bring to us. So that's what our topic is all about. Healing lessons from rescue dogs and their humans. My name's Amanda Ree, again, the founder of Sama Dog, and every Tuesday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we are coming here on this page to bring you this brand new show. And we'll be featuring a rescue dog each time. Sometimes they'll be here physically with us, and sometimes what I'd really like to do is have them be your dogs, your stories. So I encourage you all, please, to connect and reach out and share your experiences, your stories with your rescue dogs. You can post them below these Facebook Lives, or you can email me always as well and start the conversation. Maybe offline, of course, we'll connect throughout the week. I can learn a little bit more about you and your dog, and we can feature the experience of you and your dog and some of the lessons that were gleaned through that relationship. We can feature it here on the show. So I think it would be a really great way to continue to connect with our community and just keep this conversation going. So I can't believe I've waited this long to introduce our very special guest. This is Iris, the pug, the rescue pug. And she is available for adoption, actually. And we thought today was a good conversation to have about her. She's a little sleepy. And over here, by the way, this is Benny. He just wanted to be in the Facebook Live tonight. Let me show your face here, Ben. There's Ben, sleeping. And we thought it was a good idea to feature Lotus tonight, or Iris. We have a nickname for her, Lotus, as well. But we thought it was a good night to feature her because obviously she's available for adoption. She'll just help us to get the word out. Only available in Southern California, just so you know. And if you know anyone in that area, though, Los Angeles, San Diego, or the surrounding parts, then this may be a great option for them as far as their new buddy. So Iris came to us about 6 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and she came definitely because she was chosen by her family to be rehomed. There were obviously some pretty serious issues going on over there, and so we thought, as we've worked through them with her and learned so much, we thought that was a great topic to share tonight. What her issues primarily were was she was just way too intense, way too hyper, and just like a bulldozer, very unaware of herself. So how do you help a dog like that will be part of the conversation we get into this evening. So I just want to welcome anyone who's just joined now. My name's Amanda Ree, and coming to you with this every Tuesday evening show about our rescue dogs, our lessons that we learn from them, and kind of really working on the premise and on the theory, the figure of speech, I guess you could say, of who rescued who, and the stories that come with those. So tonight it's all about Iris. Excuse me one moment. I'm just going to wipe my runny eye. It's been doing this lately. Every time I especially don't want it to do that, that's when it does it even more. So bear with me. Okay, so let me just check in. As I mentioned last week, I don't know if you were watching, but I'm checking in on my phone because that's where I'm connected to all of you through. So let me just see how it's going here, and that we have some live viewers on the line. That's great. Ugh, my eye. There we go. All right. So great seeing some of you here. As you're joining with us, please let me know that you're here. Comment below, just even give a thumbs up. And it would be great if you shared this out with the world as well, so we can help spread the news of this wonderful show, weekly show that we're doing. And I know that it can help a lot of people that have rescue dogs and non-rescue dogs as well, really understanding the psychology and how to work with them even better. Pardon me for my leaky eye. Okay. Hopefully that'll calm down. So let me just check and see how we're doing here. Very good. So, as we go along, please don't hesitate one bit to put in questions below. I'll see them come up on my phone, and they're just a little bit delayed, so I'll keep checking back. But as questions come up, or thoughts, or stories, pictures, we had all kinds of good exchange last week. So let's keep that up for sure and get to know each other more and more. So again, this is Iris. So what's she all about? She is a year old. She is a spayed, purebred pug. She has all her vaccinations and her veterinary all up to date. Her medical is very good. Her health is great. She did have a scratch on her eye several weeks ago. By a cat, and we've been healing through that process. So if you've seen any pictures of her close up, you might have noticed a little haze in her eye, and that's the healing process that's going on there. And she's just such a good girl. Now that she's balanced, and that's what, by the way, Sama Dog, the name of our organization, Sama means balanced, S-A-M-A, balanced. So a Sama dog is a balanced dog. She's going to rest just like that. If you know anything about pugs, you know that they're just really funny. They're quite hilarious in their ways and their snores. Maybe you can hear it. But in their funny ways that they just kind of curl up anywhere and make themselves comfortable. They're not very shy dogs, that's for sure. She definitely wouldn't fall into that shy category. She gets along really well with humans and children. Dogs in general, she gets along very well with, as you can see. One thing to know about Iris, however, is if you are interested in adopting her or someone else is, they need to be dog savvy people if they have other dogs. And the reason for that is because Iris was very aggressive in her previous home. That hyperactive, very intense nature that she has was exacerbated in her previous home. And because they were a very busy family, 3 boys, I think the boys are like 10, 12, and 14 or something like that. So a very busy household, lots of ins and outs and activities, and just a rather, constantly changing, ungrounded environment somewhat for this dog. And some dogs can deal fine in that situation. And I do know that the family chose a pug because they knew that they needed a pretty grounded dog to hang out with all the action that they were doing every day. And they had another pug, so they thought that was a good fit. And for the first 6 to 8 months, everything was going well. And then, she just was a very, very energetic dog. And that energy, though, moved into the place of a problem behavior because she started getting really aggressive with the other pug, obviously getting aggressive with the cat that lived in the house. Therefore, the cat scratched her eye and just was quite unruly, very belligerent and not listening, and just a naughty girl in lots of different ways. So when she came to us, they just couldn't do it anymore. We tried and tried to help them and coach them, and they worked on it, but they just couldn't do it. Not every dog is a fit for every family. We know that. So now we're working on finding her a new connection, the right connection. However, over these 6 weeks, we've done a lot of rehabilitation work with her, and it's really worked well. As you can see, that intense behavior, that overwhelming hyperactivity that was really unsatiable. She just could not get her energy needs met. Now she's a very different dog. So how did we do that? That might be a question that you have. And before I share that, let me just say hello to the new viewers that are on the line with us. Just wanted to welcome everyone. My name's Amanda Ree. I'm doing a live Facebook every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And the topic is healing lessons from rescue dogs and their humans. So tonight we're talking about this sweet little pug. Her name is Iris, and she's available for adoption. We'd appreciate it so much if you let us know that you're here, give us a thumbs up, put your name below, any comments you might have, and especially some shares would be awesome. So I want to ask a question of you all, actually. How many of you have had a dog that also was very hyper, overly hyper, energy that you just couldn't quench? Have any of you had a dog like that? Show me, if you will, with some thumbs up or some hearts, and just let me know if that's been your experience. Let me just refresh my page here. Get reconnected to you. There we go. Wonderful. I see several of you here. Kate, Mushtaq, welcome. Where are you from? Vanessa's here with us also. So I see quite a few of you. Again, for those that are just joining on, why I'm looking down at my phone is not to be rude. You're my dear friends, and I would never do that to you. But that's where I'm connecting with the Facebook Live and all of your comments. So, yeah, what I had just asked is how many of you have dealt with a really hyper dog, a dog that had just very intense energy, and you didn't know what to do with that? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, I see a few of you on the line here now. So that's wonderful to be speaking to a topic that obviously a few of you can relate to. So I always want these topics to be helpful and relevant. And so what is it that we did to really support Iris in becoming this mellow, wonderful, family-ready dog that she is? So a few things, really many things. Our approach with Sama Dog is a multifaceted approach. I like to use the analogy of all the spokes in the wheel that all come to that center point of health and wellness and balance. Can you hear her snoring? When she takes a deep breath, especially. So all these healing modalities. So there's countless healing modalities, and all of them, Sama Dog definitely is based on a all natural holistic approach. So each of these spokes, though, coming into this being, each of these tools or pathways of healing coming into this being, and in that the outcome with enough time and attention and some patience helps them to be a very mellow, or a dog, in this case, very mellow, but a dog that receives those healing pathways really well and becomes a Sama dog, a balanced dog. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is crating. So let me ask those of you on the line here. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you down there. Many more jumping on with us. Great having you, and please do share this out with the world. That's how we get more and more on this live feed and engaging in our live show. So I want to ask, how many of you use a crate? Or who's a big believer in crates out there? And I know it's one of those tools in rescue that is pretty misunderstood. And for those of you that maybe work on the foster side or the rescue side of the rescue world, you might even have these conversations pretty often with adopters. Earlier today, actually, I met with a client and we were talking about it. And although that particular dog had been crated in his past, the new father of this dog, the pet parent, was uncomfortable to put him in a crate. He just thought, like, why do I want to put him in a cage? And that is our human way of thinking oftentimes about such a thing, especially a dog that came from the shelter, or much worse in some cases. I mean, it's hard to say what's worse sometimes for these beautiful animals, but another bad situation is a puppy mill. And so dogs that come from puppy mills, people don't want to put them back into a cage since that's the experience that they've had before. So it is logical. I definitely understand and relate to that perspective, and felt that same way for a long time. However, when I started taking in many, many, many more rescue dogs and having a lot more experience with them, I found that the crate is actually one of the best things that you can do in their life. Bring in a crate. A crate to them is a place of calm and quiet and safety and a reconnection to their own center, so to speak. And, animals, dogs are den animals. Of course, wolves and coyotes, similar animals where they've come from are animals that are den creatures, den dwellers. So they like a den. They like to hide. I've got another dog over here on the other side of the couch, and he's all hidden under a bunch of blankets. And he's that kind of guy. He just likes to hide underneath and be really warm down there. So, everybody's got a different way of their wants. But most dogs, and I'll say most, not all, I have had a few foster dogs that maybe had a terribly traumatic experience in a crate before, or perhaps came from a puppy mill. And that does tend to be more difficult. And if there is a dog that is your dog that is really just very against a crate, that really freaks out when you put them in a crate, then that is not an appropriate tool for that dog. Again, everyone is different, and that's really what we believe in Sama Dog, a very individuated approach. However, that said, most other dogs really love it. If they've never experienced it before, at first they might be like, what's going on here? You need to get them used to a crate for sure. You need to bring it into the room in which activities are happening. You don't really want to put the crate out in the garage or in the laundry room and shut the door. You really want them to feel like they're part of the activity. And then you start working with the crate. And for those of you that have used crates before, if you want to chime in and share some tips or what you've experienced, then definitely please do. We can all learn and grow, and there's lots of learning for all of us. Me too, for sure. So anyway, the crate, the way to get used to the crate is to get them very comfortable in that space with rewards. So you put them in there and maybe you just leave the door open for the first few days. You're not trying to close them into the crate, but you feed them in there, you give them treats when they're in there, you put a really comfy bed, you put an article of your own clothing in there or whomever that they're really feeling bonded and connected and safe with. So you put that in there. You really give them the experience of having a good memory of the crate, a good opportunity, a good connection to the crate. So that will do it. You just leave that door open, let them kind of come in and out. Then you feed them. Maybe you're feeding them. They usually love that. They're into that. They're kind of distracted into that. Then you close the door. Then afterwards, they're not panicking. They just kind of relax and enjoy their time in there, post eating bliss. And that can be a great way to get them used to it. Then slowly but surely, when you're home, you do close the door a little bit and then you leave it maybe closed for a half hour, and then open it again. So just get them to really not mind the crate and definitely not think that it's a bad place to be and not a place of punishment. Once you've met that understanding with your dog, you've given them that understanding, then the crate is a dream. Because at any point earlier, my client that I was talking with has a new baby. His daughter had a new baby. And they were worried with this bulldog who's 70 pounds, quite a big guy, never been around a baby before. And he just was too rough, a little too rough with the baby and just too curious and a little too intense. And so what we were talking about is by using the crate in their life, they'd be able to bring the baby around, even take their eyes off the baby for a moment, which they wouldn't feel comfortable doing if the dog was not in a crate. The dog can be right there with them, be smelling everything, seeing, hearing all the sounds and the conversations, the voices, getting used to all of that, but still in their safe zone. So the baby is just one example of ways that you can start to adapt a dog. We did that with Iris here. We did that with our other dogs because she had a tendency of being aggressive with other dogs. We didn't want anything to happen within our pack and disrupt the dynamic. So we gave her a chance just to stay in the crate and be in the environment with the other dogs. The other dogs would sniff around and she would sniff back and they would all be comfortable and nap together, and that helped a lot. So a crate is a great way to build a bridge of safety and comfort and calm. So just checking in now with everyone. Good to see many of you on the line. Thank you for tuning in. Kate says, we always crate in the car for safety and security. We use crating in the beginning for security. And the beginning probably of when they were together, Kate and Stella. Hi, Arlene. Great to see you here as well. So that's a really great point, Kate, is actually we were mentioning that today earlier too, is how long do you have to use this crate? And it's up to you. Of course, that's totally up to you. Some of our dogs love the crate and we use it their whole life. We have it there. We have a couple of them. We have one in our kitchen and one in the living room, and they're very comfortable in that space. Some dogs for a few months or maybe the first year of their time in your home, getting used to your family. So you can, of course, vary it as you wish. Definitely the crate is a great tool to use when you're going out of the house to make sure that your new dog isn't getting scared, freaked out, separation anxious, and therefore potentially destructive. So it's a very good tool for separation anxiety. Overnight helps them to sleep through the night. You don't have to get up in the middle of the night worrying if they've gone potty somewhere, they're chewing something up, all of those kinds of things. So crating is most excellent. So that's our first way in which we calmed this kind of intense energy, kind of turned down the knob on who Iris was crating. Another one is extensive exercise. So lots and lots of good exercise for this little girl. So if you're dealing with a dog, a rescue dog or otherwise that just has like way too much energy in that body, then let some of that energy get out. And sometimes it's just a simple walk around the block kind of thing. It's good for some dogs, but like this kind of dog, that was not nearly enough. So luckily, she loves to fetch balls. So we would go to a space that we had a private area and a good, flat surface, and we're just able to play the ball with her over and over and over and over, fetch until she was just exhausted. And if we did that once a day, she was an angel the rest of the day. That intensity again was turned down several notches from how she was feeling before she was able to release the energy out. So I know in her previous home she did get walks, but I think it just wasn't enough for this particular kind of, not kind of dog as far as breed, but this particular personality of dog. This one needs more energy release than that. So getting some good exercise, finding what works for your dog. Every dog a little bit different with what they want. So that's the second one. Another one that's a great tip in all of our understanding of dogs is to be mindful of praising them when they're doing the right thing, not just disciplining them when they're doing the wrong thing. And that is a tendency that a lot of us have. I know I certainly had that tendency. When they're doing something wrong, reprimanding, teaching them no, working with voice commands and voice tone and whatnot and treats. But at the same time, was I as aware when they were doing something right? I was not. And I actually learned this from a wonderful dog trainer named Tamar Geller. Perhaps some of you are familiar. She wrote a great book called The Loved Dog. Highly recommend it. And her positive approach is to recognize when they're being really good. So with Iris, when she was in her crate and she was just laying down, being a good girl, like just watching everybody around her and very relaxed, I would give her lots of treats. When she would just be laying down, peaceful, sleeping, interacting well with the other dogs, or playing really nicely, I'd give her a treat. Of course, then on the flip side, when she's doing something right, helping with potty training and all that. But when they're doing the right thing, as far as just being the right energy, having the proper behavior, be sure to give them some praise at that time too. Give them some of their favorite treats. So it's that association to the good is even deepened. That memory of that experience is deeper within their psyche, and therefore their behavior reflects it. So that's another great way. Just wanted to take a pause there and welcome anyone who's just jumped on. I see the numbers going up and down here as people come in and out of the feed. So thank you so much for those that have shared it out there and commented. Please let me know if you're here. And as I said in the beginning, I am, again, my name's Amanda Ree, the founder of Sama Dog, a organization founded on the principles of holistic and integrative natural modalities of helping to understand and heal our dogs. And as I said in the beginning, this show every Tuesday night is really about our community, all of us. And I know a lot of us are just getting to know each other, but that's the intention of this work, is to not just be me talking to you through this feed, but have a lot of back and forth and exchange, and even be able to put your stories out there for the world to learn from and to be inspired by. So please email me or comment below if you have a story that you'd like to have featured on our show. My email, by the way, is connect@samadog.com. Connect@sama, if you'd like to reach out with your story. Just want to check in with everyone who's here with us. Great to see you all. Thank you again for tuning in. Let me know if you have questions, comments, feedback. So we're talking about this little girl, Iris, this beautiful little pug who's sleeping, snoozing away on my lap here, so she's not the most exciting co-host. But let's show your beautiful face, Iris. Oh, she's so sleepy. She's just not wanting to do it. Oh, she's pretty much snoring, looking at me. Oh, she's a good girl, though. Oh, she's such a good girl. She's got such a great personality. She's hilarious. She does this, maybe some of you have a dog that moos. She does this when she gets really excited, and it is so cute. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about her. As you can see, she'll just fall asleep in pretty much any position. She's Iris, how about we turn you upside the other way? There we go. That's better, huh, girl? That's better. Top up. Yeah, better for the blood flow, sister. So she's hilarious. She listens really well. She's well trained. She is definitely very energetic, as we mentioned, so you definitely want to have enough time and attention. She's not really the kind of dog that you could leave for 8 hours a day and go to work and come back and she'd be just fine with that. I don't think that's really her ideal setup, maybe later in her life, but not at this point at least. So she's ready, though, to really be someone's best friend. We also have a dog rescue organization called Soul Playmates, and who Iris is fostered through and we're working through. And now I lost my train of thought. What was I saying about that? Yes, with Soul Playmates, our whole intention is to create just that. These beautiful soul connections, these heart connections, these somewhat rare relationships that we find between a dog and a human. And our my intention with the work that we do is to find that kind of bond, that special. So we are looking for the ideal soul playmate for Iris, and she's going to make somebody so happy. What a best friend she is. All right, so moving on, we are talking about Iris, and we are talking about how she came into our family about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Very intense. Unfortunately, got removed from her family that she was with for 1 year. She's just a little over a year. And so she was with them for a year, but her intensity and her tendency towards aggression and her just very overwhelming energy was way too much for that family. And the family had a lot of energy, a lot of excitement and busyness going on in their environment. So that kind of environment was not ideal for this sort of dog, and it just made everything much worse to the point where they could not deal with her anymore. And so that's how we got involved. So we're talking about what did we do to help calm her down? And as I said earlier, kind of decrease the gauge, turn the volume down on her intensity. So the first thing we talked about was crating and how that can be an amazing training tool, create a lot of calm. The second thing was exercise, a good amount of exercise during at least the time that you're doing the rehabilitation and helping this dog to come back into sama, into balance. That's a time that a lot more exercise is needed. Then you'll notice if this is something that this dog will need forever, or once they come into that balanced place, are they good, going down to some regular kind of exercise or daily activity. And then we talked about praise when they're doing the right thing, not just when they're being taught how to sit or being trained to go potty or learning to walk well on a leash, but also when they're just chilling out. They're just laying on their bed, they're just relaxing, but they're doing exactly what you want them to do. Give them rewards, treats, and praise at that time as well. So one final thing that we'll talk about that we've done with Iris and has made a huge difference for her is meditation. Meditation has been a huge help with this girl. And I think it's because she hadn't experienced a lot of peace and calm in her previous dynamics and environment. For her, that was like she was almost thirsty for it. You could really feel that when she came into our family. She just, as much as she had a really hard time relaxing, it's like she didn't know how. She wasn't trained how to calm down. It's very similar to a very nervous child or a child who has ADD or other kind of behavioral tendencies that just amps them up. Then maybe they haven't learned how to calm themselves down or what even that experience feels like. So we're big meditators. I'm a certified meditation instructor and a certified yoga instructor and Ayurvedic instructor. And with that, have a daily practice and bring all the dogs into that daily practice. So not only does it help them to find that calming energy, it really helps to bond the energy between the human and the dog. Because really how this works is that when a human being is in a state of, as they call in the meditation teachings, of restful awareness, when we are in that very calm, centered, quiet space within, we are exuding that energy out and around us. And we are giving that energy, just like we're giving them a bowl of food in the morning that they're eating and consuming, we are giving them that energy that we are emanating, and they are consuming that into their being. It's becoming part of them, just like it does with another human. Just think of it when you're around someone that's very calm, very grounded, a soothing kind of friendship. That's how you feel. When you're around one of your more energizing friends, maybe they're great to have on a night out, but in the middle of the day when you're feeling a little sleepy or you just need to regroup, that energy of that friend can have can be hard for you to manage, can have a difficult influence on you. It's the exact same thing with our pets. And when we have our bonded animal in our life, that energy from us goes to them so much more easily than you would even realize, and so much more powerfully. So a meditation is a great way, even if you don't know how, a simple meditation with just a breathing technique, which we'll do in just a few minutes. I thought we could demo it together. That's a great way to bring that calm and comfort into their life as well. So I want to check in with our viewers again and say hello to everyone. If you're just getting on the line, please let me know that you're here. Give a thumbs up and a share would be great. My name's Amanda Ree. I'm bringing you this show all about healing lessons from rescue dogs and their humans to you in your home every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So every week we'll feature a different dog, a different story, and some holistic healing tips, natural living tips, whatever you want to call them, but simple ways that you can bring body, mind, and spirit into the approach with your dogs. That's what this work is all about. So let's do a little meditation together, shall we? So some of you that are on the line right now, I know, and some of you I don't know yet, and it's great to make our connections and friendships. Thank you for supporting and being part of this community that we're building. So some of you may not know how to meditate. I'll give you a few instructions here, and then we'll close our eyes. As you can see, Iris is already in meditation position and deep within the stillness and silence already. And Benny over here to the side, he also is in that similar state. They like to meditate, these guys. I bet yours will too once you get into it. So what you're going to do, what we'll do together is we'll close our eyes. We'll just take some deep breaths and settle in. Settle into that quiet space within. Just by tuning into our breath, it will help us ground our thoughts. That's really what it's about. The thoughts are so busy throughout the day. The traffic is going so fast. 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Can you believe it? So within those thoughts, there's really no space to see the peace within or the quiet between two thoughts. But there is. There always is. That space between two thoughts or the space between two breaths is that space of peace, of wholeness, of tranquility. And that's really what we're doing with our meditation practice is as we tune into our breath, we're tuning into a more quiet, rhythmic pattern within the body, and therefore the thoughts start to quiet down, quiet down, quiet down. Now, I do want to say before we close our eyes, for those that are new, that the goal of meditation is not to clear the mind and have no thoughts. You would have an unhealthy mind if that was what happened. Instead, the idea is to quiet the fluctuations of the mind, as they say in the yogic tradition. Quiet the fluctuations of the mind, quiet the busyness of the thoughts, slowly, slowly, slowly as we sit. And then the thoughts distract us and we go there, but then we remind ourselves that we're meditating, come back to that quiet, off to the thoughts, back to the quiet, off to the thoughts, back to the quiet. And this ebb and flow is a meditation practice. It's not the misunderstanding of quiet the mind, turn off the thoughts. Impossible. Truly impossible. So let's do it together, shall we? I'll just glance down. I see hopefully most of you have jumped off because you thought, meditation. That's not what I was up for tonight. Maybe just give it a try. We'll just do it for a couple minutes, okay? And if you're not comfortable with it, no problem. Just do some breathing, and that will also convey a comfort and ease to your dog. So if you have your fuzzy one nearby, you can have them next to you on your lap, even across the room. They're definitely feeling the vibes. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Gently relax your facial muscles and your shoulders a little. Take some deep breaths in and out. After you do this for a few practices, a few tries, you may notice that your deep breaths, your audible breathing is perceived by your dog. And they will start to pattern your breath or follow the pattern of the breath. They'll mirror you. So try it now, just taking a deep breath and seeing if that helps them to settle in. Now just continue for a minute or two, staying very connected to your breath as it moves in and out. With or without an animal nearby, the benefits of meditation are abundant, allowing our body to heal, to balance. Just a few minutes of staying connected to the breath can help us do this in such a powerful way. As the mind wanders, just guide it back to the breath again and again. Breath in, breath out. Breath in and out. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. I hope you felt a little ease within that short meditation. I was smiling and feeling it because Iris was completely connected to my breath. At the end there, when I said breathe in and out, you could hear her. Maybe you could even hear her taking a deep breath in and out. There, right now. In and out. Maybe you can hear her little snores. I don't know if you can hear that. But it's very special. It's a very special time with our animals. That is the space in which we are the same. When we open our eyes and we see these very different looking physical bodies, very different functioning minds, emotions, intellect, we see a lot of the separation. We see our differences more clearly. But when we close our eyes and we go within and we settle into our hearts and we feel that light that is what gives us life, we feel and connect to that light that gives life to our animals as well. And that is the same light within all of us. So that's what our meditation can do, is give a connection and almost like a plugging in from you to your pet. And through that plugging in, across that bridge that you connect, you can send messages, intentions, healing energy, and much more. And be such an amazing caretaker, even more amazing than you already are, of your animal, because now you have these powerful new tools. So tonight we've been talking about on our weekly show that's all about healing lessons from rescue dogs and their humans. Tonight we're talking about Iris, who had way too much energy and intensity and hyperactivity, and because of that didn't work in her previous home and came into our lives as a foster dog. And now we applied some of our holistic ways and natural healing techniques to her to bring her back into balance. And as you can see, she's a very different dog now. I know if her previous pet family, dog family, was to watch this, they probably couldn't even believe that this is their same dog. I mean, really, it's a dramatic difference. So how did we do it? We touched on it throughout this conversation, but in case you missed it, we talked about crating, extensive exercise, praise when they're doing the right things, not just when you're training them to do things, just when they're chilling, they're being easy and good, give them praise. And last but certainly not least is meditation, taking that mindful moment, whatever it looks like, different for all of us, but just take that mindful moment with our pets each day. So I'll check back in with our audience and say hello and just see how you all are doing. Thank you very much for being here. And hopefully these tips were helpful to you. If they are, please give us a response of some kind, any kind, just letting me know that this is helpful and can be applicable and valuable in your life and with your pups. So please join us every Tuesday here on our show, whether you're in our live feed or you watch the rebroadcast. We really want to grow this community. It's a beautiful community, the I Love Rescue Dogs. I love being part of it, and I love being able to bring some knowledge and experience forward to all of you every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Next week, next Tuesday, which is January 2nd, we're going to be talking about this little guy here, this one that's been snoozing the whole time, Benny. Benny had a traumatic experience not too long ago, several months back, and we had to do some work on rewiring that experience so he didn't stay in that space of reactivity and fear and uncertainty that he was definitely in for a while after that. And it worked because he's a much happier, more adapted or adjusted guy now. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week in case your dogs have had a traumatic experience, whether before you had them or in their time with you. We can help them out as well. So that's what next week is all about. Oh, great to connect with you all. Arlene, great to have you here. Vanessa, Renee, glad you all jumped on to enjoy the meditation. And we will look forward to seeing all of you next week. Any comments or questions, just put them below, and I'll keep an eye on this all week and definitely be answering you back. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here this evening. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Lots of love. Bye. Let's say bye, Iris. Bye. I'll post Iris's bio below, by the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about her, see her on Pet Finder. Let's give everyone a proper goodbye. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, all my fans. Give them some kisses.
everyone.